anime is often regarded as a chance to allow ourselves to perceive another country's customs and culture. And by that same measure, it also allows us to see our own culture through another contextual lens.
Now, that isn't to say when Americans are portrayed in anime, they're entirely true to life and accurate. Hell, if Eden of the East were right, over half the people living in Washington, D.C. would be National fans, instead of, Yankees fans. But still, it's always been interesting to me to see how Americans are perceived by non-Americans.
Well, up until Madbull 34 came along. It's kind of hard to keep an introspective mindset when you're watching total apeshit insanity!
Madbull 34 is one of those shows that makes you question everything you learned in life. It's a 4-part, cracked-out, skull-fucking abortion of a show. And it's hysterical.
Seriously, the lengths this show goes to turns every mean-spirited character and violent psychopath into a fucking Looney Tunes cartoon. Now, you might be wondering why I don't have the box with me here. Well, it's because the show has only been released on VHS and tracking the 4 tapes down has been way too much of a fucking hassle to deal with. But I want you to think about that for a moment. You can get Angel Cop on DVD. You can get Bounty Dog on DVD. You can get a special edition DVD of MD Geist. Fucking Darzy's Wing is on DVD. But Madbull 34? Now they got standards?
We begin our tale with an uncomfortably long panning shot of the World Trade Center still standing, when we suddenly shift gears and cut to the first of many, many rape scenes.
And time! 1 minute and 35 seconds into the show, and we get a rape scene! Congratulations, Madbull 34! You just made it into the Guinness Book of World's Most Depressing Records. Give yourself a hand.
The brick shithouse with the bitchin' chevron mustache is John Sleepy, with a U apparently, Estes, also known as Madbull to his enemies, and Fuck Machine to all the ladies. Shithouse here gets word that he's getting a new partner, the Japanese-American Daizaburo Ediban, who thinks that talking like Meowth from Pokemon makes him a real New Yorker.
Geez, I sure hope I don't end up like him. The guy's a disgrace to the force.
That's not how you do a Brooklyn accent. Lord Cat, lay down some knowledge on this punk.
Get someone else to do your Brooklyn accent. I got bagels to eat.
See, that's how you do a fucking Brooklyn accent.
It doesn't take long before the two of them are on assignment, trying to stop some very fruity-looking robbers in hockey masks from getting away. Seriously, roller skates and short shorts? And I also love the fact that these guys are wearing elbow and knee pads.
I mean, just because they're violent criminals doesn't mean they shouldn't protect themselves.
Of course, Shithouse doesn't waste any time and blasts the two with some buckshot. One of them manages to crawl towards a woman and holds her hostage, but gets his head blown clean off with a few inexplicably accurate shotgun blasts from Shithouse.
By the by, Madbull 34 has this odd fascination of putting blonde women into danger. That's the second one we've had so far in only 6 minutes. I smell a counting gag!
All right, let's get out of here.
Wait, this girl's gone into shock. She's frozen up and she won't let go of me.
She'll thaw out if you stick your finger up her ass.
What?
Okay, didn't see that coming.
So, what does Eddie do? Why, he pokes her right in the fudge tunnel, of course.
Get off me, you creep! What are you, some kind of pervert?
Oh,
The leaps in logic in this show is absolutely astounding. It's like if Takashi Miike directed a Tex Avery cartoon.
The first episode doesn't really have an overarching story, rather it's comprised of small scenes that I think were supposed to be funny, like Shithouse getting a bunch of prostitutes to gangbang Eddie, who's trying to save himself from marriage. Then the two of them dress themselves in horrible drag to try and stop a series of gang rapes, which of course leads to another rape scene where a blonde gets manhandled before Shithouse blows the rapist away. Oh, and by the way, Shithouse, you can't pull off the badass walking away shot if you're in a wig and a cocktail dress. The pumps alone would kill your stride.
It's not until about the halfway point that we finally get some semblance of a story. story.
Turns out Curtis, an old enemy of Shithouse's, is back, and black, and wants to kill him so that he can run the prostitution ring in New York without him getting in the way. This information, of course, reaches Shithouse via an old fuck buddy of his who's quickly killed off when Curtis finds out that she's been talking to the police about him.
What are you doing?
That bottle contains a special Molotov cocktail I've made just for you. When the temperature in this room goes up, the special ingredients in that bottle will suddenly explode.
Who are you, Dr. No? Just shoot her!
Shithouse and Eddie race back to her home, but they arrive too late.
God damn it! Yeah!
Shit, that fucking hurt! The two of them try to chase after Curtis, but get derailed after one of his henchmen trick the two and sabotage their car.
Well, now, let me think. A big black guy with a tattoo. Hey, officer, your tire's getting kinda low. Tell you what, why don't I check your tires and pump some gas for you while you go on and have a cola? It'll give me some time to remember this guy.
Is this guy from New York or fucking Mars? He sounds like an alien trying to replicate human speech. Dude, fucking Tommy Wiseau would tell this guy to enunciate.
The henchman cuts the oil line to their car, which causes them to crash, but left still alive. Figuring that it would be easier to catch Curtis if they're believed to be dead, the two, yet again, dress themselves in drag and stake out their own funeral.
Which is probably the dumbest plan they could possibly come up with. In order for this plan to succeed, the guy has to be dumb enough to show his face at a cop's funeral instead of just skipping town like anyone with 2 brain cells to rub together would already be doing.
This plan is so stupid that it actually somehow works. Shithouse and Eddie figure that they should follow him because he'll eventually lead them back to Curtis. So, in broad daylight, in the middle of fucking New York City, the two of them, dressed as nuns, follow the guy all the way to the subway. How the fuck did this guy not notice that 2 nuns, one of them an 8-foot-tall giant, was following him?
Oh, an 8-foot-tall transvestite nun. Just another day in New York.
Sure enough, the guy does lead him to Curtis, who is waiting for him on the subway for some reason. Anyways, they all begin to fight. Eddie has to take the shot as Curtis has Shithouse by the throat and out of the car.
Shoot! Oh. Shoot him! Shoot!
Oh, Christ. What if I miss? What if I hit Sleepy by mistake?
How the fuck would you manage to do that? The guy has him at arm's length away from him, you fucking moron.
Well, of course, the show ratchets up the drama before he finally makes the shot, tearing a hole in Curtis's arm and allowing Shithouse to throw him out of the car. Remembering that there was the second guy to deal with, the two of them team up to literally blow the guy apart.
If they can still stand, then you gotta keep pulling the trigger till they lie down.
Jesus, tap dancing Christ, when in the hell were in those bullets? I haven't seen a guy fly backwards like that since Steven Seagal's Belly of the Beast.
We cut to the hospital as Shithouse has taken a knife to the chest. After being told by one of Shithouse's trophy fucks that he acts as a sort of hooker tax collector to pay for medical bills and living expenses for prostitutes and victims of rape, Eddie, still dressed as a nun, receives word from Shithouse's doctor.
Doctor, what's the news on Sleepy?
Fortunately, the knife missed his heart, but he's still in critical condition. He needs rest, so no visitors for the time being.
Oh, please make him well.
Oh!
Ah.
But of course, Shithouse is alright, boning a random nurse just for good measure. We then cut to internal affairs as it seems that Shithouse is under suspicion of using unauthorized deadly force and racketeering.
No, really?
Despite all the evidence against him, including unexplained pictures of him shooting criminals and taking money from hookers. Seriously, who the fuck took those pictures? All it takes is for Eddie to say that Shithouse here is a fucking death machine and a super cop, and all charges are dropped.
There's no one else in the force who could do what he does.
Very well, then. Then by the authority invested in me as chief of police, I hereby find Officer John Estes innocent of all charges. Case dismissed.
Phew! Glad we cleared up that moral gray area. What's next on the docket?
We begin our second episode with our two heroes chasing after the Spoonie Bum. Spoonie Bum manages to get away on foot and takes a child hostage in what I think is supposed to be Central Park.
Completely one-dimensional criminal taking a child hostage. Doesn't seem right.
Please, just let the child go. Take me as your hostage instead.
There we go.
Actually, turns out Debbie Harry here is a police officer and takes out the bum. After he cops a feel, of course. Debbie, it seems, is a newly transferred cop, now working for the 34th Precinct, and Eddie couldn't be happier.
Nice to meet you.
Ah, you so pretty. I forgot you almost got raped a minute ago. Ah. It doesn't take long before Debbie fits right in with the 34th Precinct, even joining Shithouse and Eddie as they interrogate the bum. Their threats don't seem to be working when all of a sudden this slimy motherfucker chimes in and works his weak point.
I wonder what your kid and his pals would think seeing you trussed up in these bracelets.
No, don't do that. My kid ain't got nothing to do with this business.
No, but it'd be educational for him to see what a loser his old man is. Everyone would know you're a drug pusher. All his friends would know his dad was so low he could parachute out of a snake's asshole.
He could parachute out a snake's asshole. It's like a Zen riddle.
The bum cracks and tells them where he's been getting his shipments of drugs to sell, and the other three look angrily on as the asshole pimps away.
Yeah, I'll admit it's an asshole thing to do to get the guy's kid involved, but really? Where the fuck does Shithouse, of all people, get the gall to think this guy is a shit stain?
Nevertheless, the four decide to stake out the drug shipment occurring in New York Harbor, where Eddie and Shithouse take point above a warehouse, leaving Slime here to molest Debbie, taking advantage of the fact that they have to keep cover.
I know you want me to put my cock inside you.
I don't think it's fair to count this as another blonde in peril moment, considering it's the same blonde from before. Ah, what the hell?
Debbie manages to get away, but just as soon as she's able to make a break for it, several obviously dressed gangsters make a move on the warehouse they're staking out. And so begins one of the most goofiest and hard-to-follow gunfights I've ever seen in an anime.
Yet. Sweet Christ! Does he keep Kool-Aid in his back pockets? Dude was leaking red like a wine barrel.
Hey!
Right! I had a feeling this evening might end up like this, so I used these grenades for a jockstrap. Whoa!
Give me one.
Yeah!
There exists a show where an 8-foot-tall cop ties grenades to his curlies because he wanted to be prepared. We live in a world where this exists. And do you know what the hell of it is? During manga's old video promos, this was the scene they decided to show.
Yes, the scene where Shithouse drops trow and flings grenades attached to his pubes was the scene that manga video thought would sell tapes. Who the fuck were their target audience, escaped mental patients?
How much do you want to bet that when the human race dies out and our ruins are being excavated by alien archaeologists, that they'll come across a tape of this and we will be forever remembered for having made it? The Magna Carta, the Statue of Liberty, the Declaration of Independence. Fuck that noise. When you think of humanity, think of an 8-foot-tall giant with grenades tied to his short hairs.
It seems I'm not the only one who got caught up in Shithouse's pubes, I really should have phrased that better, as the slime managed to steal away the mobster's drugs and take all the credit for the sting. What follows is the show's stumbling attempt at a romantic subplot, as Eddie cannot go 1 second without making goo-goo eyes at Debbie.
And much like a quadruple amputee that fell out of bed, it's going nowhere.
We cut to Eddie going off patrol, leaving Shithouse here to have impossible sex with some random hooker after he sees Slime enter an abandoned warehouse. The stupidity of what he has just done doesn't dawn on him until after he's being held at gunpoint and taken hostage. Meanwhile, Slime leads Debbie to the same mobsters that kidnapped Eddie, revealing that he's been working for them the entire time.
I should have known you were a crook.
Yeah, you should.
You know, he's right. How the fuck did she not know that he was a dirty cop? The attempted rape wasn't telling enough for her?
Meanwhile, Shithouse has tracked Eddie's car to where he was abducted, but the mobsters have long since made tracks. He's approached by Monkey D. Luffy here, who tells him that if he manages to choose and open a can of coffee that isn't armed with plastic explosive, he'll tell them where they took Eddie.
Go on. You know you want some coffee, so go on, help yourself to a can. It's a real refreshing drink.
Coffee, my salvation from my day-to-day drudgery.
Of course, Shithouse doesn't choose the right can and promptly blows himself up. But he's still left standing because, well, he's a Highlander, I guess. From here on out, though, for the rest of the episode, the show gets fucking crazy.
Well, crazier.
Frustrated with watching Debbie getting raped, Eddie manages to slip his restraints and sprays the attackers with a fire extinguisher, and the guys are acting like they're being sprayed with fucking napalm.
Why doesn't Eddie just grab one of their guns while they're writhing in soaking wet agony? Then again, if he did do that, the show wouldn't be able to have this exchange.
Yeah! Hey, fuck the lot of you! The only way you can stop a little guy like me is with machine guns! Then you can kiss my butt and call it ice cream, you bunch of limp-dick faggots! Come and fight properly and I'll kick the living shit out of yous!
I knew what was going to happen before I showed you that clip. And it still feels like my brain is trying to claw its way out of my skull.
I know that the whole point of that was so that he can draw aggro from the guys raping Debbie, but that just came out of nowhere, and really, he probably should have thought of a backup plan after he got the guy's attention, instead of just hoping that Shithouse would bust in and save the day. Oh, he does, but only after Eddie gets the shit beaten out of him for 4 straight minutes. So, Shithouse does what Shithouse does best, pretty much fuck everything up within spitting distance, including decapitating the cyborg mob boss. Yes, I said cyborg mob boss, with a thrown coffee table.
I'm sorry, but did I fall asleep here and woke up watching X-Men? Because that is some juggernaut shit right there.
We cut to the ER where the trauma doctors looking over Eddie are the bearers of bad news. It seems that Eddie has suffered severe internal damage and is hanging on by a thread. Shithouse pulls Debbie aside and asks her, since he's all but dead anyways, to marry him to make his dream come true.
Usually the guy would have to be rich before a blonde would consider marrying a man on his deathbed.
Debbie, feeling guilty over Eddie taking all the punishment that he did, meekly agrees to do it, remembering her former lover and Shithouse's old partner, Mike.
Mike made the ultimate sacrifice. He gave his own life to save someone else's. What do you think he'd do if he was in your position? Geiseborough is hanging on to life by a thread. He could go at any minute. If you marry him, at least he'll go to his grave with the knowledge that he didn't die for nothing. If you just pretend to marry him, it'd help. What do you think Mike would have done if he was in the same situation?
Well, before a month ago, he wouldn't be able to marry a man in New York City. But thankfully, Sweet Lady Progress marches ever onwards, so he too could be emotionally manipulated into a doomed marital farce.
So they hold the mock wedding in the ER, exchanging their warbled vows, slip the rings on, and of course, per the guide to hacky and lazy writing, the following kiss somehow manages to give Eddie the strength to pull through. We end the second episode with Eddie handing over the ring, saying that he wants a proper wedding with all of their family and friends in attendance. How long do you think Debbie here will go before she confesses that this entire wedding was just an act? Or will she be afraid that he'll relapse and keel over if he ever found out the truth?
Well, it looks like you're just gonna have to tune into part 2 to see if these burning questions are answered.
Here's a spoiler. They aren't. Till next time.